Wrap this all up by discussing the AVerPen set. So those of you who have an AVerPen, this would be a good time to learn about how to use your AVerPen. And if you don't have an AVerPen, don't worry, you can just learn about them. They're brand new. If you have the AVerPen, it's very simple to set up. This is the teacher pen. It rests in this hub, and this is how it charges. And you just connect it to your computer with a USB. And the student pens, these are multiple packs kind of daisy-chained together, but they just get plugged into a power source in the wall. This is a closer look at the AVerPens. So this is the teacher pen here on the left, and on the right-hand side, the orange one is the student pen. They look identical aside from some colors, and then also these buttons on the side do some different things. But at the very top of the pens, you'll find the tail button, and that's good for getting the eraser tool if you want to erase anything you've created. They have some indicator lights that will just say whether or not the pen is charged. There are some lanyard loops so you can put them around your neck so you don't lose track of where your pen is. The right-click button, so everything I've been showing you in the software, how you can right-click and get those additional options for your object. If you're using the pen, you can just push the pen tip down and also click the right tip button and get that menu. You'll be able to access that menu. And then there are also some grooves along the side where you hold the pens, and those are very, very important, which you'll see in the next slide. The pen tip is just what you move along the surface to move the cursor of the pen. And the teacher pen has some presenter buttons, so you've probably noticed I've been going through slides in my AVer Plus project, similar to a PowerPoint presentation. The buttons on the side of the teacher pen will allow you to go forward or backward in your presentation. So I've been using my teacher pen buttons to go forward and backward. And sometimes I've also been using these arrows up here. The student pens have some voting buttons, so if you're familiar with clickers or student response systems, these buttons on the side of the student pens can be used to answer questions created in the software. If you have the pens and you've been having trouble writing with them, always make sure that you're holding it the way that you see right in front of you. So your thumb goes on one side of this kind of colored panel on your pen, and your index finger goes on the other side. There's no need to hold this button down. You only touch that button if you want to pull up the right-click menu. And then to move the cursor, you don't need to push hard. You just lightly glide the ball of the pen on any smooth, hard surface. Shiny surfaces do not work very well, so if you're trying on a really clean, shiny desk, you may have some trouble. Try doing it on top of a book or some other surface that's not as reflective. But if you want to select something, just like you tap the clicker on your mouse, you can just push down on the tip of the pen, the pen tip, and select your object. And if you want to move an object around, just hold the pen tip down and then move the object around. If you have not only the teacher pen but also student pens, you can activate the student pens so that they can actually annotate on top of the screen. So I'll show you how to activate those student pens right now. I just need to take my student pens off their cradle. If they're sitting in their white cradle, you will not be able to activate them. They have to be off of their charger. So I'll just select the multiple input button, which is down here at the bottom. And I've put my pens in if you go up here to the very, very top, oops, I'm going to cancel really quick. If you go up to settings, remember that management button that we selected? It allows you to create classes. So I'll select class management really quick. I have a spelling class, a math class, and a language arts class. If I want to go to my language arts class, I've selected pen number 1 to belong to group number 1 because I only have 4 pens, so I can't really assign 1 pen per student. So pen number 1 belongs to group 1, and pen number 2 belongs to group 2, and so on and so forth. So I've set that all up in my class management window, and I'm going to do exactly what I did before. I'm going to select my language arts class, hit OK, and the software knows that my language arts class has 4 pens. So those 4 pens are going to show up. This is group 1, this is group 2, this is group 3, this is group 4. And if I want to activate group 1, I'll drag group 1 onto the screen, and I want to activate group 3. I'll drag group 3 onto the screen. Now, I'm going to pick up my student pen number 1. Group number 1 can access, or pen 1, group 1, can access this toolbar that says 1. And that student toolbar has a few options on it. The student, however, cannot access the teacher toolbar. So these are off limits for the student. They can only access their toolbar right here. So the first tool in the student toolbar is the Move tool. So if you've created an activity where, for instance, that language arts, the adjective activity in the very beginning where they had to drag the words into their respective circles, I would allow them to click on the Move tool, and they can then move those text boxes where they belong. But they also have ink colors, so they can annotate or write or circle or highlight anything on the screen. These arrows allow you to choose additional colors. So if you're not happy with the first 4, just click down and you get additional 4 and then 4 more. This is the eraser tool. So if I select this, I can erase anything I've put on the screen. Another shortcut for the student to access the eraser is just to click the very tip top of their pen where an eraser would be, and they'll be automatically in the eraser tool. Anything that you select here will give you 2 different sizes. So there's thin and then thick. If you want to write a little bit thicker, just tap down in this thick area. And then the student can then have a little bit of a thicker ink. And this is very, very last thing in the student toolbar will change the speed of the student pen. So if you have a student who's a little more comfortable with the pen writing a little bit slower, they'd want to click until those 3 lines are very, very short. If you want it to be a medium speed, click it so they're a little bit longer, and then the fastest would be when the lines are stretched all the way out. So there are 3 different speed settings on the student toolbar. Now the teacher has the ability to exit out. So if a student's getting out of hand or you're done having them active on the screen, you can just hit the X to get rid of that student. Or if you want the students to just pause for a second and not have the ability to do anything just for a moment while you're instructing in front of the class, you can just simply hit this pause button and the students lose their activity until you hit play again. So that's how you activate the student pens. I'm going to get rid of these and move forward a slide.